Hi, I'm Charlie Galdona, and this is Winning Attitude for Entrepreneurs. On today's podcast, I have a very inspiring guest. Afke van den Wouw is an experienced high-performance sports psychologist with huge experience in football, hockey, cycling, and tennis. Her background as physiotherapist gave her a huge advantage in understanding the holistic view of their top sporters that approach her as clients. She's also an entrepreneur and public speaker, founder of Wouw Performance Coaching, has been sports psychologist and consultant of the Netherlands Olympic team and football clubs such as Utrecht, Venlo, Vitesse and Twente. Welcome, Afke. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fine. Great after this introduction.
No, thank you very much for being here. Yeah, you definitely have a huge experience in this field of sports psychology, and you've had a lot of contacts in the field, yeah, in different sports, really from the Olympic teams of different really big differences in disciplines to football. So I can imagine you have a lot of stories of success and failure for sure in your life. What has the attitude for yourself and for your clients? What has the attitude been as an influencer in their outcome in life?
The attitude. Well, that's a very big
Big,
statement.
broad.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well,
So
we talk. I'll talk a lot about the winning attitude, and it is mainly. Sometimes many people think that it's winning against others, and in sports, it is. You need to compete. But the first thing I see, at least as a coach, is that first is winning against yourself. Is really trying to develop yourself and find that growth path. And yeah, and then obviously the results come if you're competing. In that sense, I'm asking about that attitude.
yes. So it's very important to be motivated to develop yourself as a player or as a coach. So they call that the growth mindset. And if you have the growth mindset, you use feedback from coaches or from others to become better. And you don't take them personally, you just see them as tips to grow. In whether so the others on the other side, they have a more fixed mindset.
Yeah.
And fixed mindset is more to say that you think you have the talent, you got that from your parents by the genes. Either you have it or you don't have it.
Yeah.
So it's not something you can develop. So if you don't have it yet, then you might as well stop trying, because what's the use? You don't have the right genes. That's the fixed mindset. But if you have a growth mindset, of course there are the genes. Of course you have that from your parents, but still after that, there's a whole learning process, of training, developing yourself, and not just developing in physiological things, not just developing in better muscles or speed or strength, but also in capacities like how to deal with setbacks, or how to deal with pressure of the game, or how to stay focused and concentrated throughout the whole game, how communicate with with the other players. So also the attitude to be open-minded towards those kind of things, and that you can see yourself evolve and getting better, and and use that feedback, or maybe ask even of feedback. So, and use those tips to become better and better. And also, if you lose a game, it's not just, oh, I lost the game, I'm worthless, this is no good. No, use the lost game also as a feedback for the next game. Yeah. Okay, what didn't go well? What happened? How can I improve that the next time? What can I do? What did I do well? Because the game is not just totally failure, there's also good points in the game as well. So that's also learning how to watch a game and reflect on it.
Yeah, I can imagine. We had a chat with Cecilia Rognoni. She's being one of the best hockey players in the world, and she won that prize 18 years ago, and it was one of those champions of the world. And she told me that when she was there, not seeing it from now in perspective, but when she was there at the field, sometimes she was really nervous about one situation. I know, and if you fail with a penalty or things like that, and she saw the videos, and from the outside you look like really confident. She said, I was pretty confident. You're a great leader, and really sure about the situation and about what you were going to do. But inside my mind, I was like, oh my God, if I fail this, this is going to go really wrong. And yeah, obviously that happens with a lot of top sporters. It's not that you see them perform like it seems easy for them, but obviously they are also struggling sometimes, and they need to build this resilience. They need to train in that mindset. And I can imagine that in that sense you help them a lot. Is it something that you encounter in the football clubs, that you have to work with them and to build that resilience, and to first say, okay, get out of that ego and say, oh, yeah, I'm going through this kind of situation sometimes, maybe make them open? That's the first challenge, and then how to work with that.
Yes, first of all, making them sort of accept that that's a part of your sports.
Yeah.
If you do want to perform at a high level, there are going to be some nerves. There are going to be some doubts. There are going to be, even Kobe Bryant has a quote. He says, "I have a fear of failure. I have times when I show up at the arena and I'm like, oh, what am I doing here? I want to go." So even he, at his level, have still self-doubt. So, and you can sort of fight it against it. I have to have confidence. I should not be nervous. Now I'm not performing very well.
Yeah.
No, that's not the case. You're gonna feel nervous, and you have your self-doubts, and that's totally normal. I mean, there's so many people watching you playing the game, so accept that that's a part of it, and don't try to fight against those thoughts. They're just thoughts. They will probably leave. To see them as a part of performance. So that's the first start. And also, if you are nervous or you have self-doubt, that doesn't mean you don't perform well.
Yeah.
Like you said, there are a lot of top athletes that were very nervous, even throwing up the night before, didn't sleep very well, and go on the next day on the pitch and they perform very good. So it doesn't necessarily need to go wrong. So don't think that. Don't say that to you. If you have those thoughts and those doubts, like, oh, now I'm gonna perform bad. No, that's not the case. It doesn't have to be the case.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, you can also give them tools so they can really sort of regulate their own tension.
Yeah.
So you can give them tools by relaxation exercises or breathing exercises. So if they do feel a little bit more tension whatsoever, and they know what to do, they know how to deal with it, first of all accept it, and then if it's necessary you can do some breathing, some belly breathing, which usually calms down the heart frequency, for instance, and the tension as well. But it doesn't have to do it like that. You don't have to push it away or something. So that's also very important to realize, to make them realize.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, many top sports and also people in the business world, entrepreneurs, they also like that adrenaline that is going on, that heartbeat that it's a little bit out of control. But yeah, when they get used to it, because they build some experience and go through it many times, they also they tend to like it. I also read that you use a lot of visualization, and it's something that I don't know, people that know or have read about Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, the big football stars. They sometimes tell you, I was really visualizing the penalty or this going this way, and really trying to set their mind in that situation and how it would unfold. I try to use it a lot in the business world. How does it work? What you do with visualization?
Well, it's very important that your athletes do game-like training. So on the pitch, if you have to perform under pressure, it's very important that the coach uses pressure in the game. So if you need to take a penalty, just give him one chance, put a lot of people around it, yell, scream at him, and he still has to be focused. Yeah. And also game-like training can be on the pitch in real time, but you can also visualize the situation that might happen. You visualize the what if scenarios. What if that happens on the pitch? What will I do? What if that happens? So you prepare your brain of different situations that might happen, and because you went through them, you know exactly what to do when the situation is there. And of course, it's not exactly the same situation as you imagined it before, but it's the same with training on the pitch.
Or acting. It's a rehearsal, and that muscle memory, and at least in this case is it's a mental, but it's the same. Works somehow the same.
Yeah, for the brain, it's nothing different. They did a lot of research, and they found out that if you visualize, for instance, taking a penalty, they see the same parts of your brain light up when you actually take the penalty. So for your brain, it's nothing different if you do it for real or you do it just in your mind's eye. So that's why it's so important. But even then, I thought it was the Olympic national skiers from the USA. They had like equipment on their legs so they could just see the tension in their leg muscles. And while they were visualizing the slope when they went down, and they could just read from muscles that the muscles were actually tensioning a little bit while visualizing it. So you can see on the tension of the muscles and which curve they were taking in their imagination. So it's not just the brain that's going to be active, it's also the muscles who already become active. And that's coordination, that's timing, when to contract which muscle. And that's also what you programming, your brain is programming and your muscles are programming. So you're programming yourself, actually. You're making sort of a blueprint for your brain. So your body knows how to work. The same if you go typing, you don't have to think while you're typing on your computer. Your fingers just sort of know what to do. And that same goes for athletical movements. And you can learn that. You can learn your body what to do on the pitch itself, but also by visualizing it.
Is it something, I ask from a place that I don't know. Is it something that you bring to the unconscious, that you're writing, somehow rewriting or rewiring things into the unconscious, and then it works in automatic mode, or not?
You bring it, you make connections between the right brain nerves. So there are certain nerves in the brain that are connecting. And if you do that over and over again, the pathway between the neurons, that becomes thicker.
Okay.
So it's the same what you do, you repeat when you do it on the pitch. But for instance, a serve in tennis, if you repeat that a lot, that's going to be very vulnerable for your shoulder muscles and your shoulder itself. So if you combine it by actually serving on the court and visualizing it in your mind's eye, then you're bringing the right neurons in your brain connecting with each other.
It's incredible.
So and it's not just with sports. You can do that if you have a very important presentation for your work. Or you have to figure out how to deal with certain things, and you can also do it in your mind's eye. Prepare yourself.
With the pitching is the same. Try to rehearse it. Try to picture yourself. But it's incredible. We are talking about this, and yesterday I go to CrossFit, super amateur, with my neighbors. But yesterday we had some exercise that we had to do with very little weight. It was like 20-30 kilos. And then we had to go with a plastic thing that had no weight, but do the same thing automatically 20 times. And at the end, you feel you're doing it with weight. It's incredible how the mind gets hacked somehow. And he said, you don't need to do it 20 or 30 times with weight. Just do it 10 times and continue without weight, and you will feel the same. And it's incredible. It's incredible how those things work.
You can even do it with people that have a calf, for instance, because they're injured, so they have a broken bone and have a calf around it. And if you get the calf off, your arm is if it's an arm, it's very slim because all the muscles are deteriorated. But they also let those people visualize it, and they compared it to the people who didn't. And they could see that the deterioration of the muscles was less compared to people who didn't. So you can even keep your muscles in shape while it's in the calf and cannot do anything by visualizing it's working out.
Wow, that's incredible. I read you went through a heart operation and used these mind hacks for yourself. How was that experience? Because one thing is to coach others and try to advise others, but when you try to do it for yourself, it's a different game.
Yes, it is. Well, it was an operation for heart rhythm problems, and during the operation, I was totally aware of everything, so I didn't went under narcotics or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so, and it was going to be exciting because they were burning in my heart. So I wanted to be relaxed and as relaxed as possible
Yeah.
because,
I
of
can
course, I
imagine.
wasn't relaxed at
Yeah.
all. But using relaxation exercises combined with visualization, I was visualizing going into surgery. I was visualizing seeing all the doctors being well prepared, knowing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that sort of gave me confidence that it is going to be all right. So, like I said, it wasn't meant to get rid of my nervousness because but it was less. I was more
Yeah. Yeah.
relaxed
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
I was doing those exercises. And you could see it more and more using in health because people are more relaxed getting into surgery because of that. Their heart frequency is lower, they lose less blood, they're less nauseous afterwards. The operation is easier because there's not a lot of blood, so it's easier for the surgeon to surge.
Yeah.
Um, so all these things, and of course that also helps going out of the surgery and going to
Yeah.
rehabilitation.
Yeah, it's amazing. Afke, tell me about your book that it's coming next month,
Yeah.
and it's meant for coaches. Yeah, hopefully around the world, because now it's going to be focused here in the Netherlands, but then it will go global.
I hope so, yes. It will be so nice to make an English version. Yeah, my book is about learning how to perform. So I'm following the season. What is it that you can do at the beginning of the season as a pre-preparation? So it's to see who are you as a coach? Do you know yourselves?
Yeah.
Do you know the people that you're working with? Not just if it's a left back or a winger, but what kind of person is he?
Yeah.
And how can you coach that person in the best possible way? So that's in preparation. Who are you? Who are your players? And then what are your goals for this season? What do you want to reach? And of course, if it's a team sport, you have team goals. But also the individual player has individual goals. He
Yeah.
wants to develop himself. And how do you um, sort of work together with your players that it's really their goals, but how can you help them reach those goals? And what kind
Exactly.
of climate do you create in order to make them reach those goals?
Yeah.
So how do you communicate? How do you motivate them? How do you give them the confidence that they can really reach the goals? So that's also all in the beginning of the season. Then it comes in the season,
Yeah.
and then you have the games, the competition. So what do you do on game day in game preparation? What do you do during the game? How do you communicate? How do you communicate the players on the pitch, but also you as a coach towards your players? How do they concentrate for the whole game, not get distracted by the audience or the
Yeah.
referee or whatever? Um, Also, how can you learn your players to deal with the pressure of the game? And how can you learn them to deal with setbacks? Because they're going to be setbacks,
Yeah.
whether it's the referee or whether another player or gets injured or you lose the game or
Yeah, something
that's
goes
just,
wrong. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. That's in
yeah,
sport and in business and life in general. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And we don't get a lot of, not in school and not in usually not in sports environments, the athletes don't really know how to deal with it. They know
Yeah.
just how to become faster and stronger and those kind of things, but not really how do you deal with things that are so important and that can
Yeah.
happen in the game. You just
Yeah.
hopefully they do it right, but you can train it. You can learn how, and you don't have to wait until bad things happen. That's what a lot of times happen. If you lose like 5 games in a row,
Yeah.
then they would say, maybe we should go to a sports psychologist.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, that's possible, but why didn't you start with it in the
Yeah. Yeah.
beginning?
It's more on a preventive way that you're coaching, and that's yeah, obviously it's amazing, and it's amazing, and or in clubs like here that you have the resources. Maybe in clubs in, I don't know, in South America, for example, big clubs for sure will have it, but smaller clubs don't have those resources to hire a coach, a sports psychologist that it's there seeking for every other player. But it would be amazing because you see the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I wrote the book, so that it's not just for top coaches or top athletes, but also for the ones that you were referring to, that they can
Yeah.
read the book they're all exercises in the book, the exercises they can use. They can download it from the internet because there's a platform, Leren Presteren.nl, that goes along with it.
Yeah.
They can see the videos of Ronaldo, for example, talking about visualization.
Yeah.
So they can, and there's a podcast on it. They can read. So it's not so everybody. Of course, it's still in Dutch now. Hopefully, it's translated. But so all trainers, even though they don't have the facilities of a sports psychologist being around all the time, they can still put that into practice by using the book and the exercises that are in the book.
Amazing, Afke. Yeah, I don't want to take more time because this chat could go for really long. It's really interesting, all the tips and things. And I try to make some bridge between sport always and business. But yeah, it's just inspiring. And then most of the people make the bridge. I wanted to ask you, because you're a woman, do you notice that the girls have a different mindset in the decision-making process because you're also coaching girls in football, or is just a gender thing that it's a perception?
Yeah, of course there are differences in girls and teams, women team and men's team. But it's always difficult to say because I was working in women's soccer, but more in field hockey. And you see sometimes women are more open to innovative things, in new things, and also in sports psychology things. Whereas men tend to be, I'm very carefully like, tend to be more like, I never used it, so why should I try it now? So, but you can see there are changes in there as well. The coaches are changing towards it, and they say, we need that, and it's a very important part of performing. So if it's a part of performing, you should also train that part of performing. So they're really trying to integrate it in their daily training schedules and really put it into practice on the pitch. That's I think a very good thing. Should not be only talking one-on-one in a separate room, but also really work that on the pitch. How can we put that into practice? And so you see sometimes women are a little bit open-minded in that area. But you see there are changes coming in the men's teams as well. So
that's great to hear. What I've seen in, at least with other interviews at other chats, is that you see a lot of differences and different standpoints of when they begin to do different things, at least in business. But then you see a lot of acceptance. For example, it's much easier for women to accept failure and try to express what happened and analyze than men. Sometimes the men are not willing to accept that it was a failure, and maybe it's a matter of egos or whatever. But in that sense, I'm glad that it's also changing for both, that women have much more opportunities, but also men are changing in that sense of acceptance and trying to improve themselves in a different way. Afke, thank you very much. Just to wrap it up, I would love to ask you for a message to top sporters and girls, boys that are starting in top sport, doesn't matter which sport, and maybe they're going through a very difficult situation now, like many other sporters and business people are going through this crisis. And maybe they are not able to train for the last months, and maybe they don't see a future that is quite clear. From your sports psychologist standpoint, a short message for them to try to push them forward.
Yeah. Well, I always like to quote, you win some, you learn some.
Okay.
So either you win, or maybe you're in a phase that you're in a learning phase. And in Dutch you say, when you stumble, that's where your treasure is.
Okay.
So if you stumble because of an injury or so, there is something for you to learn in that area. And it doesn't feel like that if you're in it, because you feel, I want to get out, but try to see it as a learning phase and what you get out of it. Maybe because you meet other people, maybe you get to learn your body more, you know your boundaries better, and try to set goals, small goals that will bring you back on track towards And if you go up in a mountain, there's no straight line straight up. You always go with bows to come up in the mountain. And it's same with your goals. They're at the end of the mountain, but there's no straight line. So sometimes you have to take another route. But it's probably for a reason, because that's a very route you can learn a lot of things from.
Oh, thank you very much, Afke, for that message and for your time. I wish you the best, and let's keep in touch.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Oh, for sure. This was Winning Attitude for Entrepreneurs.